All right. So, what is some advice you have for graduating students?
Hmm. Well, I think it's good to go out and live life the most you can. Travel, see the world, um, take the responsibility seriously. And you guys are kind of the
Hello, class of 2016. Some of you may be wondering why a bumball like me has been asked to speak at your graduation. Or perhaps you're just relieved not to hear another admin talk to themselves anymore. The truth is, I would have never seen myself standing up here 4 years ago. Just a short time ago, we were here promoting as 8th graders, sure that we were ready for all that Cal High had to throw at us. Then we got here. No amount of classwork could have prepared us for high school, where seniors have beards and walk and looked closer to woodsmen than our fellow classmates. We never could have guessed how it would turn out, but in 4 years, it is unbelievable how much different we are. I myself went from a 13-minute mile to varsity wrestling captain. And think about it. For many of us, this is the beginning of another 4-year journey. In college, you'll study, party, and take exams. But you won't find the most important learning point in any books. It is something your professors can't teach, and it's something that all the student loans in the world can't buy. The most important topic is you. In college, you get an opportunity to learn and to expose yourself to opportunities and to change. You get to learn who you really are and change, which is the most important, because how many of you would like to go back 4 years and be where you were 4 years ago? Exactly. With the exception of the two of you in the back, everyone agrees that we've changed for the better. Pretty much. So now I offer a challenge. Try to change yourself for the better. Create a vision or a picture of how your future will be, and adjust it to how you are living so that you achieve it. Once you have done that, repeat. Set visions for yourself. Keep making your life better. Each time you do this, it marks your success. No matter how much success you achieve, don't take yourself too seriously. People often assume that the most formidable forces are people with solemn faces and eyes that cut. But I disagree. The most formidable forces are those people who, when told to run 10 miles, will laugh at you and then get up with a big smile and do it. This kind of attitude helps in life. Many of us have heard these sayings, don't sweat the small stuff. Right? Well, I wholeheartedly agree. But there's a second part. The secret is, it's all small stuff. Don't worry if something doesn't turn out how you plan. No one ever gets a perfect shot through life, and neither will you. No matter how imperfect your shot may be, remember to enjoy it. You don't choose a life, you live it. And if you never stop to look around, it will pass you by.
So I think the best advice I can give you is, believe it or not, your parents do know some things, and as you get older, some of the stuff that you probably said, oh man, that's stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, may actually come true. That, yeah, maybe we do know a little bit. But get out and enjoy it. Live every day as if it's going to be your last, and enjoy it. Don't be stupid, but enjoy it. And if you're going to be stupid, you better be tough.
What about you? What was that like for you after you graduated high school? How was college and all that deal?
Well, I went to school locally. A lot of friends went away to school. We didn't have the money for me to go away to school, so I went to the community college for a couple of years. Held down a job, spent my summers either working for the Boy Scouts in the mountains, or selling clothes at Ross Department Store, and then later on I started working at a pool and got work through the rec department, and I went to school for that, and that's what I ended up doing. So I did spend a lot of time with friends and going out. 5. How did the way you grow up impact
Where you are today?
Yeah, in a big way. So I grew up in Concord. My mom didn't work. My dad was the sole breadwinner, and so we didn't have a lot of money. So I learned a little bit about how to stretch the dollar. We ate a lot of hamburger. But I learned some values too, and you respect what you have, you take care of what you have, because if it breaks and you throw it away, you may not have it later. And we live in a disposable society now, where something goes bad, you don't fix it, you throw it away and you buy a new one. And that's just not how I was raised. So, that's.
What did you spend the most time on? And was it worth it?
Well, growing up, I think the things that I spent the most time on, I think I said 2 things when I answered the question before. One was lifelong learning. I spent a lot of time involved in my learning, and it could be just little things like, just this last couple of years, learning how to do woodworking, learning how to build tables and chairs and things that I can use, and that's a sense of accomplishment. But for me, it was learning. So whether it was learning something new, learning family history, learning a different skill, a degree in something, and then the other thing that I spent a lot of time doing was photography. And I learned to shoot at age 12. I still have the camera. I had the same camera that my dad had, and so we would swap lenses and all that. It was a film camera. And so you learn the art of shooting photography versus today, where you can just shoot and it doesn't work, delete. Yeah.
What are you the most proud of?
Yeah, I think I'm most proud of my kids. Because I think it's selfish to say, well, I'm proud that I, have a degree, or my job, or my this, or my that, or the house, or the car. I think I'm most proud of my kids, and I really like who they're becoming. Because as they're kids, they're moldable, and you can screw with them, and all that, and we screwed around a lot. But as they grow older, it's really cool to see them figure stuff out, or they'll come home and say, yeah, I got an A on this, or yeah, I did this, or yeah, I did that. And you go, yeah, that's awesome. And so now they're at a point where they're starting to live their own life a little bit, and I'm really proud of them.
In your life, what have you learned about love?
Well, I'm a firm believer that there are right people for right times in your life. I think you can fall in love, you can fall out of love. I think sometimes you think it's love, but it's really lust. Any combination of things. Love can be cruel, but I think the most important part in the process of love is that you really got to know about yourself, what makes you tick, what it is that you're willing to live with, and what you can't live with, and what are the deal breakers and all of that. Because you may get into something, into a relationship or something, and you think this, but they've got, there's a behavior or something that's, you may really love the person, but she's a horrible spender. And it's like, oof, man, I can't live my life in debt. Or, really, I think she's the one, but there's something that isn't quite right. So you have to know yourself and what your limits are and what you're willing to compromise. And love and relationships are all about compromise. unless there are those things that are deal breakers, and you have to set those boundaries. If you don't, you could find yourself kind of losing who you are in the relationship, and then that's a bad sitch. Yeah.
So, what was it like to be engaged and married for a second time?
Yeah. Well, it was completely different from the first time. The first time was sort of out of high school. Actually, I made a deal, and I wanted to wait until she was done with college because there was no way I was going to pay for her college. So that was the deal. And then we had different belief systems about what marriage should be or would be. And she had a whole bunch of things that she thought would change about me, and they just didn't. I don't know. And it ended up that we went our separate ways. We dated for 8 years and married for 18 months. No children. And so the second time around, she had been married before, as had I, and so you had a little more life experience. Maybe you owned a few things. You had a couple of households to put together. Things were maybe different, you know. And you learned a little bit about what you were compatible with, what you could live with, what you couldn't live with. It doesn't mean it doesn't change. Yeah, and so getting married the second time and then having kids and raising a family was very cool. Ultimately, 20 years down the road, things changed. And so I think the important thing in any relationship is that you find someone that you're compatible with and that you can grow and change with for as long as possible. Because I really think there are right people for right times in your life. And if you're super, super lucky, you'll find that one that you'll spend a whole lifetime with. But we live in so as I was saying, you know, we live in a disposable society, so when it comes to relationships, it's really simple to just go, you know, it's like my first car, and it wasn't the best, but it worked, and now I'm like, I really want that car over there. And so
I think it's time for a 90s Pinto. It seems like a good
exactly.
idea.
You know, or it's no different than your phone. I think I'm going to upgrade to Wife 2.0, right? And boom, but life isn't that simple. But that's sometimes what happens, and people make choices, and just be smart about it. And you have to know about yourself and what it is that you really want, what you like, and what you're willing to live with. Yeah, otherwise, bad things.
How did having kids change you?
Yeah, I had to be responsible. I completely failed at the diaper changing thing. I mean, I was the worst. I got peed on a regular basis. It was, in fact, it's weird to this day. No.
This is Dimitri guy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we won't go there. But there's a lot of that. You have to be responsible. You find that you're the dad ATM, and you're always handing out money, or you're the dad taxi. Gotta go here, gotta go there. And you find that your time is not your own. You know, hey, I got plans to go to the gym. I got plans to go do this and this. Dad, I need you to drive me over to Billy's house. We got to work on a project that's due tomorrow morning. Oh, when did you learn about this? 2 weeks ago. But it's due tomorrow morning, so I got to do it now. You know, that kind of thing. So it's, yeah, your time's not your own. But by the time that the kids are teenagers, hopefully you've ingrained enough in them that they can kind of be self-sufficient and learn to get out on their own. And then I think the role changes a little bit from being sort of the dad ATM and the advisor, that when the kids get older and stuff, then you can be sort of their friend and sort of this old sage that sits on the mountain and, hey Dad, I need some help with this, what do you think? Look it up on the internet. You know, that kind of thing. Or my personal favorite that I can't wait is when grandkids come to me and I get my chance to sugar them up and then send them home. Yeah.
Give them a puppy and lots of sugar and send them back.
Yeah. Yeah. I look forward to that. Not anytime soon, I hope, but whatever.
But, take it as it comes.
You don't have a choice. Life's gonna happen, and whatever happens, happens, and you can either react to it, or you can anticipate it, or whatever, but life's gonna happen, man. And so you have to be sort of in that mind frame of, it's 20% of what you do and 80% of how you react to it. Yeah, and that's kind of a life philosophy, I think. There's my philosophizing for the day.
What value have you found in coaching?
Well, I think the most important thing in coaching and what I've done in my jobs and all of that is, my job is to prepare the athlete for the next stage of their life. So they may not be the star athlete, and the star athletes don't always make the best coaches. Sometimes they're the worst coaches, but you help that student, that athlete, achieve the highest level of what they're capable of achieving. Sometimes you're surprised and they sneak their way into the state meet, and you're like, how did that happen? And then
he'd just be sitting eating onions all day.
Right, and then sometimes there's a kid that you think, oh man, I'm watching him in preseason and he's going to go far, and then he just tanks. And so a lot of each sport is mental, and so my job is to help prepare you physically and mentally to not handle your opponent in the sport and the upcoming meet and matches, but really for life. And do you have the ability to reason out, you know what, I'm going to have to work harder. I just got knocked down. I got fired from a job. Okay, now I got to get back up and get back in it. There's been times where we've seen wrestlers that lose a match and then they go and they beat up a wall, or they pound on the bleachers, or they storm off and don't want to talk to anybody for hours. Okay, well, that's life. You're not always going to win. You're not always going to get that job. You're going to lose a job. You're going to lose a love in your life. You're going to, how do you deal with adversity? And I think that's the biggest part of coaching, is preparing them to excel when they can, persevere when they can't. Yeah. That's a little more philosophizing. Damn.
You're on fire.
In fuego.
You know what the best part about that is?
What?
I have it on camera.
Exactly.
Or at least I hope I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Wait, yeah.
Awesome.
What have you learned about life in general? Or what's life's greatest lesson?
Yeah. Well, I've learned that the good guys don't always win. That there are times when you may do everything right and you may still lose. But it goes back to what I was saying before, that you need to figure out what you're capable of and how you bounce back from adversity. Everybody in life at some point is going to get kicked down and going to be knocked down, and you're going to have to figure out how to stand back up and go, okay, do I get back up on the horse? Do I get back in the fight? Do I, get up the courage to ask that girl out again, or a different girl, or do I, do I go run and hide? And you may run and hide and have your own little pity party for a little bit, but then when you come out, you better come out like a lion next time. So yeah, life isn't fair. It's not easy. And sometimes you think you can depend on people and you can't, so you really need to know yourself. You need to know who you are and what you're all about and what you're capable of. And I'm a firm believer that we can do 3 times as much as we think we can, if we have to. And oftentimes I think we sell ourselves short. I'm not going to worry about practicing this week because I know I'm going to get a forfeit. And then you show up the day of the match and there's somebody standing across from you and you go, damn.
I don't think I can get my money back for these nachos.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, ooh, I didn't think that one out. And so there are times when you're just not going to think it out. But how do you respond to that? Yeah. Meaning of life.
That's the meaning of life?
Well, I think that's a life lesson that you have to try and figure out. It's an ongoing thing. It's not a one and done, because you're going to get fired from lots of jobs. You're going to have lots of loves, and things aren't always going to be rosy.
Sometimes you can't be the Minutemen.
That's true. Yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. Yeah.
My last question was, what is the meaning of life?
Oh man, well, I come up with some pithy quote from Monty Python or something like that, but I don't have any. So I think as social animals, we're put on this planet to be the best we can possibly be. And I think at the end of your days, you want to be able to look back and know that you made a difference. And it could be made a difference in raising a family. They say there's people that are really, rich, they have lots of money. And then there's people that are really rich in other things, like they have tons of friends, they have a skill that no one else has, they have a huge family that loves them and all of that. And I think we're put on this planet to do the best we can, and to create hope for the next generation, and share the knowledge that we've learned as we go on. So, I've been able to do some pretty cool things growing up. You've been able to do some pretty cool things in your 18 years or so.
Just a few.
Yeah, but still, it's more than probably half the kids at your school have done, right? And those are things that are going to stay with you in life, and you're going to be able to pass those down to your children. Hopefully it's a love of the outdoors and sport and the things that you enjoy doing. And hopefully you'll find a mate that'll enjoy those same things too. And so, and then pass those things on. Yeah. I think that's really what what it's all about. Live long, love hard, and just enjoy. I don't know.